Okay, Jesus, are we ready to start or I don't know what?
Yes, let me start now. Hola a todos, buenos días. ¿Pueden confirmarme por el chat si se escucha bien?
Se escucha muy bien, sí.
Excelente. Bueno, sean bienvenidos todos a nuestro siguiente seminario de inicio de este mes, enfocado en electroquímica. Nos acompaña Giovanna Exposito y Klaus de WTW, quien nos van a dar una introducción directa a esta parte del tema. Les recordamos que en este caso las preguntas pueden escribirlas en la sección de preguntas y respuestas o en el chat, o si quieren que abramos su micrófono, solo levanten la mano y nosotros daremos pie para que puedan hablarlo directamente. No hay problema si no pueden hacerlo en inglés, nosotros estaremos traduciendo esta parte. Y bueno, comenzamos con una introducción de parte de Giovanna Esposito. Muchas gracias, Giovanna.
Thank you, Jesus. Okay, and good morning to everybody, and welcome to today's presentation on IDS systems, innovative, universal, safe technology for water analysis. My name is Giovanna Esposito, and I am the Latin America Sales Manager for the Lab Solution vertical with Xylem Analytics. Today, we will introduce you to Xylem and VTV, followed by the presentation on IDS systems by Ms. Reitmeyer, the Senior Product Manager for Lab, Field, and BOD. Xylem is a global water technology leader who works with customers to solve the most critical water resources challenges. Xylem has more than 17,000 colleagues around the world with diverse water expertise, along with the presence and operations in 7 continents. Our products are sold in over 150 countries. We move, measure, analyze, and treat water. We partner with customers to solve their most important water challenges. Our solutions span through the entire water cycle. We bring together advanced technologies, applications expertise, and smart, sustainable solutions. Measurement and control is a segment of Xylem with a revenue of approximately $1.4 million. VTV is a Xylem brand and part of the measurement and control solution segment located in Valheim, Germany. Xylem Analytics' largest locations with over 400 employees. VTV was founded in 1945. It moved from Wesselbrunn to Valheim in 1954. In 1965, VTV came out with the first dissolved oxygen meter. In 1990, VTV started with the online measurement technology. In 2003, VTV was acquired by Nova Analytics. In 2010, Nova Analytics was acquired by ITT Technologies. And in 2011, Xylem emerged from the spin-off of the ITT Fluid Division of ITT Corporation. In 2013, Ebro, another Xylem brand, was integrated and moved to Valheim's location. And in 2016, 4 other brands were integrated in this location and became Xylem Analytics Germany. The VTV Xylem product portfolio includes handheld meters and sensors, desktop devices and sensors, photometry, and biochemical oxygen demand devices. On the process side, the portfolio includes IQ SensorNet, analyzers for river monitoring, and process control, as well as the Multiline 1000 for the monitoring of clean drinking water. And here is a picture of the new facility of Xylem Analytics Germany in Walheim, Germany. And now it is my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Klaus Breitmeyer, the Senior Product Manager for Lab, Field, and BOD. Mr. Reitmeyer holds a PhD in crystallography from the University of Ludwig-Maximilians in Munich and has more than 20 years of experience in the field of electrochemistry, oxytop, and process electrode technology. Mr. Reitmeyer is also a member of the DIN Committee for pH and Conductivity and the European Directorate for Quality of Medicine and Healthcare. Mr. Reitmeyer enjoys hiking, playing classical guitar, and horseback riding. Please welcome Mr. Klaus Reitmeyer. Klaus, I turn this over to you now.
Thank you, Joanna, for this nice introduction. Good morning to everybody. I will now start with the presentation. I will share my screen, and I hope it will work so that you will soon see the presentation where I want to give today. So, okay, now you should see my screen.
Yes, we can see it, Klaus.
Okay, now then. Okay, well, thank you. So this is my short bio, so we can skip this, of course. What I want to talk about is today is the IDS system, and I apologize that I do not speak Spanish. Frankly, I had Latin in school, I had German, of course, and English, and I did not step over to the Roman languages. So sorry for this. I hope you can understand me in spite of this well. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. I think we will have some time after at the end of the presentation to talk about. Okay, I want to now bring the focus on our IDS system. And well, the IDS system is an electrochemical system. It deals mostly with electrochemical parameters. That means pH, dissolved oxygen, and turbidity. We have also a turbidity sensor, and this is a unique thing. It works with special sensors which have more capabilities than the analog one. So what is the IDS family? So the IDS family consists of meters and sensors. In fact, the sensors are the most active part in this because the sensors have a built-in electronics. That means they have the meter inside, and all the devices you see outside are only displaying devices. So the real measurement task is done by the sensor itself. And you might wonder what's the expression IDS means. It's a little bit from the, let's say, a mixture between the German and the English. So we have, IDS means that we have intelligent sensors. I stands for intelligent, D stands for digital, and S for sensors. And if I say in intelligence, of course, the sensor always takes its passport with it. So it has all the information about its birth, let's say the serial number, its description, its calibration history, everything is inside the sensors and can be transmitted independently to any IDS meters. Then we have, of course, because of the digitalization of the signal, we have a safe data, a safe transmission of the signal to the reading device. And what we also did, that we took long proven sensors, which we had for years in our analog system, and we still have, of course, analog sensors, but we took the best to use them for the IDS. And I want to show you on the next slide, what are the advantages of the IDS system. So what we are doing first is that we have an active direct signal processing in the sensor itself. That means we have no interferences from outside, no interferences from cable, etc. The signal will be processed where it comes to exist. Then we have the automatic transfer of all the information which can be used in a GLP environment, for instance. That means you need to know the serial number. You should know what's the name of the sensor. The calibration history is also interesting to see how the sensor is, or how the sensor condition is changing, or the status is changing from calibration to calibration. Then for sensors not pH, we have, for instance, let's think of conductivity. The cell constant will be automatically transmitted when a cell, when an intelligent or when an IDS cell is connected. So there's no need for the user to change the cell constant, which is normal if you are using analog devices. And we have also additional features like from our optical DO sensors that we have also the serial number available of the cap. Then the sensors can be used on any of this IDS instrument. That is, no matter, you can calibrate in the laboratory and take out the sensor in the field with the same calibration, no problem. Then we have cables, different cables, which is really a big advantage. We have sensors with plugheads. We will see this later on, and we can connect cables with a length between of 1.5 or up to 100 meters without having special sensors with special armorings, as certain competitors have. And we are the only company in the market that has wireless transmission of the sensor data to a device for all parameters. We have competitors who do pH, but we have none in the market who is doing pH, conductivity, dissolved oxygen, or whatever. And we can update the sensor firmware, and also what we now have is a so-called gateway measurement, but this is something a little bit special. I just want to mention it here. Okay, let's step. What are the big advantages of our pH sensors? For instance, what does us differentiate from our competitors? So we have a very interesting, let's say, quality function for calibration and for monitoring the quality of the sensor directly on the meter. This is what we call the so-called QSC calibration. And for this QSC calibration, which is unique to the IDS system, we are doing a special calibration with special buffers, which we supply with each set of a pH meter, or let's say of a IDS pH set. And this allows us that we have that we start with the real values of the sensors, and the sensor is then set to 100%, and then we have a very fine grading between the maximum, that means the 100%, and the point where the people should consider to clean or to maintain the sensor, and finally, of course, to replace. So you see the best performance is in the green range, then it turns slightly to yellow, to orange, and then of course people should think about maintaining the sensor. And if it's at the red end, of course, then it's time to replace the sensors. So now I have talked about this feature. I think now it's interesting to see what kind of sensors do we offer for our customers. And I think let's start with the most common electrodes. Most of the people want to have an electrode which they can apply in almost any application. And I say almost any application. These are electrodes mostly designed for measurement in water, mostly designed for measurement in surface water. I would not recommend it directly for drinking water, but you can use it in a wastewater treatment plant. You can use it, for instance, also in an electroplating bath or whatever. These are gel-filled sensors which are free of maintenance. The only thing you have to do is to give them from time to time a little bit potassium chloride solution into the watering cap, but there's no refilling once if the electrode is empty, then of course it has to be disposed. But they live a very, very long time. They have a plastic shaft. They have some protection around the membrane. So it's, let's say, an electrode for many, many purposes. Of course, be careful, because I also have seen these electrodes in pharmaceutical applications, and to be honestly, I would not recommend such an electrode for pharmaceutical applications. For this, we have much better suited products. The next electrode is the Centix 950, which is a liquid-filled electrode. It's also rugged. It has a plastic shaft, and it also this nice protection around the membrane. And the thing is, this one is, for instance, also used for field. So you can use it in drinking water applications when you go out down to the well and want to measure pH. Then, of course, this is a good electrode also in this application, and that means also surface water can be measured. So it's also, let's say, it's a liquid-filled, robust electrode that requires, of course, a refill of the KCl from time to time. We have also special electrodes in our portfolio. For instance, this is a pressure-resistant electrode, which is usually used for the IDS for a multi-parameter probe. It's pressure-resistant up to 10 bars. It can also be used as a standalone, of course. We have some nice protections for this if people want to use it in harsh environments. So this is an electrode with a polymer filling, and it has no diaphragm. It has simply a hole, and that makes it very insensitive against pollution. So it's pressure resistant up to 10 bars, and of course it has a built-in temperature sensor. It can also be used in heavily contaminated samples. From time to time, you even have in a laboratory some very, let's say, difficult samples, which could also have some electrolyte poison. And for this, this electrode is also an option because of this polymer filling and a long way to the reference. It will take a long time before an electrode poison can harm this electrode. Okay, this is a little bit special. Now we go to our most important laboratory electrode, and this is a really nice thing. This is the Centix 980, which is a refillable electrode with a glass shaft and a so-called platinum wire diaphragm. The platinum wire diaphragm makes it very easy for the flow of the electrolyte into the solution. And that means that they have an excellent contact. This is a fast responding electrode, very fast responding, and it will also be insensitive against stirring effects. So this is an electrode which you can use in almost any laboratory applications. Also trees buffers and all that stuff which normally causes problems to electrodes which have a ceramic diaphragm. This kind of diaphragm does usually not clog and will guarantee a fast and secure measurement. And we have the temperature range is seldom used, of course, but up to 100 degrees. So this is one of the most sold standard electrodes in the laboratory business of our company. Besides these standard electrodes, we have also some special electrodes available, of course, for certain applications. The next one I want to point out is the Centix 945, and this is an electrode which is really nice because it combines the response time of a Centix 980 with its fast responding platinum diaphragm with an almost maintenance-free operation. And the reason is this electrode has 3 ceramic diaphragms. It's, as I said, you cannot refill the electrode because it's a gel filling, but it's very fast responding, and it's really a nice thing for people who want to save a little bit work on maintenance of electrodes. So this could be the Centix 945 is a really excellent electrode for many laboratory applications. For people who have to measure in small volumes, we have a very nice electrode. This is the next one, is the so-called Centix Micro 900. The Centix Micro 900 consists of also of a liquid-filled electrode, and it has at its tip also a platinum wire diaphragm and also a built-in temperature sensor. So it's a micro electrode with a built-in temperature sensor. And for this, it's excellently suited for measuring in small volumes. Think of Eppendorf vessels or something like this. This is let's say, the natural environment for such an electrode in the pharmaceutical or biotechnology business. If your customers go to the food industry, then of course Centix SP SP-T 900 is also a good option, because it's an electrode, a spear type electrode with a polymer electrolyte, and it's excellently suited for measuring in all different food applications. Think of cheese, think of sausage, meat, fruit, whatever people want to measure pH. This electrode makes it easy, and it has a non-clogging hole diaphragm. That means it can easily be cleaned with a soft brush, and the polymer system makes sure that no electrolyte will go into the food itself. And last not least, we have also a problem solver for very interesting samples. That means if I have a different, or if I have a very low or a very high ionic strength, that for instance, I have pure water, something like this, and I have to measure pH, then of course, everyone who ever did this know that pure water is not nice to measure. And also if I'm measuring on the other side, heavily concentrated salt solutions, that's also no fun. But with this electrode, I can adjust the flow of the electrolyte. And on this way, I can adapt a little bit on the conditions of the sample, and that makes it much more easier for people getting good results, and also doing and also have a safe and secure measurement. So this is for emulsions, suspensions, as I said, extreme ionic strength. So this is a special electrode, but it's really very recommendable for people who have problems in their different samples. So this is pH. Closely related to H, we have also a potentiometric parameter, which is ORP. And also for this, of course, we have specialists. So we have the Centix ORP 900, which is a platinum, which has a platinum sensor at its top, and it's, well, classical electrode for measuring ORP in the laboratory. Also for the field, we have one. This is the sister of the Sensolit 900, is the Sensolit 900 ORP. And this is also basically designed for our multi-parameter probe, but it's also possible to use it as a standalone electrode with built-in temperature sensor, of course. All IDS electrodes, all IDS pH and all IDS ORP electrodes, all they have a built-in temperature sensor. Okay, this is the pH and ORP measurement. Now we step to dissolved oxygen. I want to introduce our optical DO probe, which is really a very good probe to be used not only in the field but also in the laboratory. So we have This electrode is comes automatically with a small protection at the tip. And the most nice thing of this electrode is that you have the factory calibration inside the membrane chip. So you see the two reed contacts. And if you have to exchange the membrane, which is very seldom because we are using, instead of our competitors, not a blue light, but we are using a soft green light. This enables us that we have a much more lower frequency and need to exchange the membrane cap. And that means we have usually lifetimes of this cap of more than 1 year. But what happens if we have to if we have to exchange it? Very easily. Screw off the protection, take off the cap, take care of the small little red O-ring, which is supplied with the new membrane. Simply put the membrane back, the new membrane back on the sensor, screw it on, and you can immediately measure. There's no need to use fancy chips which you have to put in a special compartment at the sensor, or typing 3 or 5 correction numbers into the meter. Not necessary. The factory calibration comes automatically with this cap, with a membrane cap, and will automatically fed into the sensor, and you can immediately start with a measurement. So this sensor is for measures between 0 and 20 milligrams, and below 1 milligram, the resolution will be enhanced to 3 digits, so that you can even see in the very low range how is the trend. It measures the temperature up of 50 degrees, and we have 2 cable variants and 1 plug head sensors where we can connect cables up to 100 meter or even wirelessly. Okay, then let's step to conductivity. Our most sold conductivity electrode is the Tetracon 925 in the IDS range. It's a 4-electrode cell, and it's a standard cell for almost any application where you're measuring conductivity. So in all water business, in depth measurement, surface water, everything, it's possible to use a Tetracon 925. And it has a fantastic range, starting almost at 0 microsiemens, of course, and stepping up to 2 Siemens or 2000 millisiemens per centimeter. This is a huge range, and it's really it's unbeaten. It has been copied by many of our competitors, but no one of them ever reached the range and the quality of the sensors. And it's also, you can even if the electrodes are covered with some dirt or some pollution, this electrode will work in spite of this, because of the 4 electrode principle. And for people who want to use this sensor in, let's say, electroplating bath or something, we have a special edition, because for such applications, it's good to have a head which is made of PEEK. PEEK is extremely resistant against acids. If you are using this in an industrial context, then order the Tetracon 925C. It has the same properties as the Tetracon 925, but the head is much more stable against chemical attack. For people who want to measure a low volume in conductivity, we have the Tetracon 925 LV. So because of the fork design at the tip, you could measure volumes of around 2.5 milliliter. That's possible. And the second feature of this cell is it can easily be cleaned because of the design. So if the people measuring, for instance, in honey or something like this, so it's much more easier to clean Tetracon LV in comparison to a normal tetracon. And for the last people who want to measure really in the pure water range, we also have a cell which is the LR92501, which is a cell that is with a flow-through vessel. Of course, it's recommended to keep out carbon dioxide pollutions. And this cell ranges from, the measurement ranges from 0.00 to 200 microsiemens per centimeter. I told you that we have additionally in the beginning that we have also turbidity, and now I want to shortly to introduce the turbidity sensor to you. So this is a turbidity sensor which can be used in wastewater applications, can be used in surface water applications, can also be used in juice production, for instance. But please do not use it in drinking water applications because the sensitivity is too low for this application. So everything else is working wonderful, but not the low range of the turbidity measurement, because here the sensitivity of the sensor is not enough. But it's working according to the nephelometric standard, so it's working under 90 degrees angles, and we are of course using IR light to be free from any color effects. Okay, these are the sensors. Now I want to, I said in the beginning also that we are the only company who offers wireless connection between the sensors and the meters. And this is something I want to show you now, because we have the possibility that we can connect a nice module. You can see here this module with this transparent head. This module contains a sender, it contains a battery, and it comes at the top of at the plug head of the sensor. You can see here below, and then we can measure, depending on the meter, up to 3 sensors at one instrument. And it's useful because you can measure everywhere where you do not want to have a meter. For instance, under laminar flow bench, people normally don't want to have a meter when they're measuring pH under laminar flow bench. Then also measuring under fume hoods or something, everywhere where you never want to have a meter, this is a good solution because you can place the meter outside and do the measurement inside of this fume hood or whatever. And how does this look in detail a little bit closer? So we have on the one side, you see, we have we are offering also a starting kit, and this kit consists of a meter module, which will be simply plugged into one of the inputs of the sensor of the meter. Then we have the sensor module, and we have a little charging device, and we have a power supply. Of course, it has different plugs available. And with this power supply, you can charge up to 5 devices or 5 of these wireless modules at one time. We have also a water protection for this. We have IP66. This is also useful for outdoor measurement. For instance, for so-called groundwater pumping tests, when you want to sit in your car and you want to avoid the cables going from the groundwater measuring point to the car, then it's easy to sit in the car and reading off the data that comes automatically wirelessly into the system. What we are using is a Bluetooth standard, and the only thing is that you have to make sure that the Bluetooth standard is accepted in the area where you want to use it. A short look on the battery power. So it's rechargeable, but of course no one wants to recharge every time. For pH and ORP sensors, we have up to 60 hours continuous operation time. For conductivity, we have 30 hours, for DO 9 hours, and for turbidity 5 hours. continuously. Yeah, so if you put it somewhere and leave it there, then you will have this performance. Okay, now this were all the sensors and what's related to the sensor. Now, of course, I also would like to introduce you the meters we are offering for this program. And the next slide will show that we have 3 different types of meters. So it's the multi 3510, the multi 3620, and the multi 3630. So we are starting simply, the third digit always stands for the number of channels which this meter has on board. And the first one is the multi 3510. It is the, let's say this is the initial, this is the starter meter for people who want to start into the IDS world, or people who only have to measure one parameter sequentially, and they don't have the need that they have to measure in parallel 2 parameters. If this is interesting, then of course we have the multi 3620 or multi 3630, which are able to measure simultaneously with 2 parameters in any combination, or 3 parameters in any combination. So that means you can put in 2 pH or 2 DO or 2 conductivity or conductivity and DO. And so any combination is possible. Also turbidity, of course. So everything what's desired is possible for this measurement. And what are the common feature of these instruments? Well, so all these meters, of course, are waterproof, dustproof, and robust for really measurement outside. And what we have is also a very nice keypad. You have seen this in the pictures. With embossed keys, and there are no gaps in between. Yeah? So they can easily be cleaned. Simply, if it's dirty, put it under a water jet and clean it with a brush. No problem. That's what the meters are designed for. We have, as I said, the different channel versions. We can measure up to 10 different parameters with one instrument. Then for the 3620 and 3630, we have the rechargeable batteries, and then in comparison to the 3510, which has a normal batteries on board. Then, but all meters have the possibility to connect a wireless sensors. Yeah? No matter if it's a 3510 or a 3630, all these meters can measure with a wireless system. Then we have memory built in for data sampling. We have USB communication for PC. For the 3620 and 3630 have also a USB A interface for memory drives. And all these sensors have all these waterproof quick lock connections, where the sensors can easily be connected. So on the next slide here, you see, for instance, a typical set of this. So it's, of course, the biggest set is the 3630 with 3 parameters. And so you see, this is a complete lab you have here in this case. And this includes everything, including the QSC buffers for calibrating the Centix 940, for instance, which is also part of the sensor, so that you have also the possibility to measure or to use the QSC capabilities. We have the so-called continuous measurement control. That means that that you see in the display the buffers you have calibrated with, and then as represented by these vertical bars. And so the measurement is the true measurement is running in between these bars, and if it's outside this, what we call a confidential area, then you will be noted, simply because then it turns black, and then you have your customers have let's say an idea that they can also use different buffer solution to extend the calibration range for more accurate readings. What I should also mention is that we have a user administration on board of these meters. That means I can also, it's a simple user administration, but it's for some people it's necessary to have such things to administer the access to the systems. Okay, a short view on the 3630 and 3620. So this is what we have. This is also unique. We have 3 galvanically isolated inputs. This is always interesting if you are in areas where we have strong electrosmog, and this could be very difficult for analog systems. It's no problem for an IDS system because the signals will be galvanically isolated that came in. Then we have color display. We have the wireless option. We have the possibility also to connect sensors by cable and also wirelessly. And we have these USB interfaces, one for PC, the USB-B, and the USB-A for data transfer on a memory stick, or respectively, we have some drivers for some selected printers inside. So also this is possible. Then this sensor works with a multi-parameter probe, with a big one, and of course we have rechargeable batteries which can be recharged directly in the meter. The 3620 is almost the twin. The only difference is that we have only 2 channels at the same time, and that it does not work with MPP with a multi-parameter probe. But the rest is pretty the same, and of course it also is a controller for the oxidope IDS, which I just want to mention here because it has nothing to do with electrochemistry. It's a different presentation. I think we will have in June sometime. Okay, so just at a glance at the short the multi 3620 and 3630. So a short look on the display. So we have a channel display. That means where are my sensors connected. For instance, this would be in the middle connection of this pH. That's the color. The yellow color gives me the parameter. That means green is conductivity, yellow is pH, and blue is dissolved oxygen, and something which is ivory, called ivory, is for the turbidity sensor. Then we have this CMC function, as I just mentioned, and we have also the, if engaged, we have the QSC display. Last not least of these small meters, we have also the 3510, which is the small version for QSC, battery driven, and with a memory of 4,500 entries. And we have also almost 500 data places for manual data. It's completely waterproof. Also, the USB interfaces, it's waterproof for all systems. So if it should be dirty or if it falls into the water, simply rinse it very well with deionized water, let it dry, and then it will work. No problem. Yeah. So, okay, these are the handhelds. Now, of course, we have something also for the laboratory, and it's almost the same philosophy. So we have 2 big meters and we have a small meter. So the system is the InnoLab Multi IDS 9630, 9620, and also the 9310. It's a little bit bad to read, but it's a 9310. So this meter also has we have up to 11 parameters. I will show you why we have 11 parameters here in the next slides. So we have this also the same features as for the handhelds. That means we have the possibility to do cable wirelessly or cable bound sensors. We have the USB communication for the data transfer. We have firmware downloads for enhanced performance, and we're also offering these sets in sensors with different meters. And then we have also the QSC function, the continuous measurement control, and also the administration. So basically we have the same thing here with the sense or with the meters as with the handhelds, but of course designed for the laboratory. That means what you can see easily on the next slide. You have smooth surfaces. Outside the laboratory, you want to have, of course, a grip. You want to have that you feel the keys and that you have a good feeling when you have the meter in your hand. In the laboratory, of course, you want to clean it, so you need soft, clear, smooth surfaces which can easily be cleaned. We have a big glass plate in over the display. We have a smooth keypad and a lot of and of course it's so it can easily be cleaned. And we have also a special feature for the keypad I will show a little bit later. Then of course we have for the big meters, so that means for the 9630 and 9620 we have also the full ISE functionality if desired. So with a small adapter, it's possible that you can also connect ISE electrodes and doing ISE measurements, and we have all the different possibilities available. That means we have linear and nonlinear calibration curves, the incremental methods, and also pre-programmed ions. That means for people who want to measure also with ISE in the laboratory, then of course it's also possible to do this with an IDS meter. 9620 is almost the same. So we have also the ISE functionality. The only difference is we have 2 channels instead of 3. Well, and how do we come to the ISE functionality? So we have this small piece, this small adapter, which can easily be put into the back of the instrument, and we have it available for DIN, which is more common in Germany, and the BNC, which is more common worldwide. Available, and we have the temperature inputs for or reference inputs, which is depending on that what the people want to use for their measurement. And this can also be used, this input can also be used, for instance, for special pH electrodes we do not offer in the IDS range, or special ORP electrodes. So it's easily to integrate this and to measure also ISE with an IDS meter. And what we also have is that our keypad is a hygienic keypad because it kills or inhibits bacteria. And in each of our manual, we have a small sheet where we have a certificate of analysis where it's listed against which terms these keypad is, let's say, or for which terms this keyboard works against. Well, just one glance at the system. So we have the big one, the 9620, 9630 with 2 or 3 channels with the possibility to measure all these parameters listed. So pH, ORP, conductivity, dissolved oxygen, ISE, turbidity. Then if you're asking about the measuring range, so the measuring range of these meters, of course, none of them, neither the handheld nor the benchtop meters, they have no measuring range because the measuring range will be supplied by the IDS electrode. This is the measure of the measurement. This what the IDS electrode delivers. This will be displayed. We have then we have this big display, 16 to 9. We have this antibacterial foil keypad. Then, of course, interfaces USB-A for the memory stick or memory drive. we have these pre-installed drivers. Please look into the manual or ask our technical support team. They will help you. And then we have the different output formats. The CSV format is usually useful for people who want to integrate such a meter into the LIMS system. So CSV is one of the most common formats to transport data. And what the data content is, you will see here. It's a description, measured value, temperature, device and sensor serial number, date and time, user ID, sample ID. So also the sensor condition will be transferred. So it's a bunch of information available for GLP measurement. Our user administration allows up to 50 entries, and it comes with a stand which can be mounted left or right. And the small meter, it's an entry. It's an entry model again. So one input, but possible to connect all of the IDS sensors. And we have also the integrated printer if desired. Then we have also a built-in printer option for this kind of meter. Okay, just a word on the administration control. So we have 3 different levels. So the level 1 is the full access. That is, of course, the administrator, the system administrator. Then we have a level 1 access. That means there's no access to system settings, particularly date and time, which is very critical and should not be altered by people who are not allowed, who have no access to this, or they should not be altered by anybody. It's strictly forbidden to change the date and time in such GLP surroundings. And level 2 means that you have no access to system settings, also no access to calibration or measurement features. So the only thing is measuring and storing, no other possibilities. And what's also nice, if desired, it's possible that we can, with the big meters, we can also name this IDS sensors so that we can give them a different name if desired. Okay, well, I think now I'm almost through with the presentation. It's 5 before 11 or 5 before 7 at my time, but because I'm sitting here in Munich today in the evening. So if you need more information, then please have a look at our website, xylem-analytics.com. And if you have more questions, then please reach out also to our technical support. They will be glad. You will find the contact data on our website. Then they will be glad to assist you. So first of all, I want to thank you for your interest. Thank you for your time. And now, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you, Klaus. Thank you very much. That was a very good presentation. Do we have any questions at this time? So if there are any questions, feel free to ask or put them in question in the chat box.
Thank you, Klaus. Giovanna, les recordamos que pueden dejar las preguntas en la sección de preguntas y respuestas en el chat, o si quieren que abramos el micrófono, solo levanten la mano.
give it just another minute or so, just in case, and then we'll go from there.
I don't bite. So if anything is unclear, or please ask.
Think so.
So I don't see any questions at this time. As Klaus indicated, if there are any questions that come later, please contact the local representative there from Analitech, or you can get in contact with us at any time. So I want to thank everybody again for attending this webinar. And we're here to answer any questions through our local authorized representative. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Klaus, Giovanna, for your exposition. And I say some in Spanish. Gracias a todos por asistir. Dentro de 2-3 días van a estar recibiendo un correo de gracias por la asistencia y con su constancia de asistencia. Igual dentro del correo podrán dejar algunas de sus preguntas que nosotros podemos enviar y responder en el momento. Igual, muchas gracias por su asistencia. Klaus, Giovanna, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and
Have a
have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.